On Friday, after more than 160 days in prison in El Salvador and the United States, Kilmar Abrego Garcia was finally reunited with his family back in Maryland after having been released on bail because he defeated the Trump administration repeatedly in court, both in the Middle District of Tennessee and the District of Maryland. And after that reunion, Kilmar Abrego Garcia is back in immigration custody and has filed a new lawsuit trying to prevent the Trump administration from sending him again to another country, this time Uganda, a place to which he has no connection. My name is Adam Klasfeld, and you're watching All Rise News here on the Legal AF channel of the Midas Touch Network. And things are moving very quickly in the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case, which I have been covering from the beginning in Tennessee and in Maryland. And I'm going to break it down for you what the latest developments were, because an incredible thing was revealed this past weekend by Kilmar Abrego Garcia's criminal defense attorney, Sean Hecker, in a legal filing, which I'm going to read to you now. The filing had said that the day before Kilmar Abrego Garcia's release, the government came to his legal defense team with a proposition. Here's what the memo reads. It says, quote, "Late Thursday evening, in a last-ditch effort to forestall Mr. Garcia's release, the government informed Mr. Abrego's counsel that if Mr. Abrego agreed to extend the stay of his release to Monday, August 25th, 2025, and plead guilty to both counts of the indictment, then the government would promise to deport Mr. Abrego to Costa Rica after serving any sentence imposed by the court." So let's break that down. Right before Abrego is released, the government comes to them and says, if Abrego pleads guilty to a 2-count indictment, forfeits his right to a trial, he will be sent to a country where he does speak the language. This is Costa Rica, a human rights respecting country. And Abrego's defense team, through its silence, says, no, we're going to take this to trial. We're going to allow Mr. Abrego to see his family once again after earning the right to be released on bail. They reject implicitly the government's offer. The government comes back to them, and the motion continues a little later. Despite having requested and received assurances from the government of Costa Rica that Mr. Abrego would be accepted there, within minutes of Abrego's release from pretrial custody, an ICE representative informed Mr. Abrego's counsel that the government intended to deport Mr. Abrego to Uganda and ordered him to report to ICE's Baltimore field office Monday morning. The only thing that happened between Thursday, Costa Rica, and Friday, Uganda, was Mr. Abrego's exercise of his legal entitlement to release under the Bail Reform Act and the Fifth Amendment. I'm going to pause right there. So the attorneys for Kilmar Abrego Garcia pointing out, because he asserted his right, the government changed where they are going to send him from a human rights respecting country where he speaks the national language to Uganda, a place where the national languages are Swahili and English, and to which he has no connection and which has a record of human rights abuses. They changed their tune based not on the evidence and what they can prove at a trial, but based on where they have the power to dump Mr. Abrego on the global map. And here, Sean Hecker, the criminal defense attorney for Kilmar Abrego Garcia, says these are not two isolated changes. He says, on Friday evening, the government informed Mr. Abrego that he has until first thing Monday morning, precisely when he must report to ICE's Baltimore field office, to accept a plea in exchange for deportation to Costa Rica, or else that offer will be off the table forever. There can be only one interpretation of these events, that the DOJ, DHS, and ICE are using their collective powers to force Mr. Abrego to choose between a guilty plea followed by relative safety, or rendition to Uganda, where his safety and liberty would be under threat. So because that's the end of that passage, but because Kilmar Abrego Garcia asserted his right to a trial, asserted his Fifth Amendment right to release under the Bail Reform Act after multiple hearings in front of federal judges who ruled that he was entitled to that. They are using where they can dump him on the global map as leverage to try to strong-arm a guilty plea, which he does not accept. On Monday morning, Kilmar Abrego Garcia reported, as was mandatory, to ICE's Baltimore field office. And there was a large demonstration outside that field office where his civil attorney, Simon Sandoval Moschenberg, announced that a new civil lawsuit has been filed in federal court to try to prevent that deportation to Uganda. And the attorney said that they are trying to prevent this from happening, that there is no assurance from the Ugandan government that they won't send him immediately back to El Salvador, where a U.S. court has blocked his deportation. There are no assurances as to his safety. And so things can progress very, very quickly. In the cases before the same judge who had blocked the government from sending him to a third-party country without 72 hours notice. They provided notice on Friday. The weekends don't count. So this pause expires on Wednesday. So things are going to develop very, very quickly. There are people who arrived in droves outside the ICE Baltimore field office watching this, and this is obviously a case that has gotten national and international attention. And just to take a step back, because this is the case where the government, against a court order, whisked Kilmar Abrego Garcia and took him to a country where he was prohibited from being sent under a court order, and where he has described horrible torture. And since the government was forced by the Supreme Court of the United States to return him back to the United States, and after they leveled allegations in an indictment in order to justify trying to detain him when they returned him back to the United States, after losing repeatedly in court, they are now trying to end run that entire justification and end run a trial scheduled for January by sending him to Uganda because he would not accept another scheme to force him to plead guilty in order to be sent to a more human rights respecting country. Things are progressing very quickly, as I mentioned, and we're going to stay on top of it here on All Rise News. So if you want to make sure that you get an update, hit subscribe on this video. You'll see a video like this when this develops, but also visit www.allrisenews.com. That's www.allrisenews.com. You can become a paid subscriber to the newsletter. You'll unlock full access to all of the analysis. I'll show you all of the legal filings to stay informed and stay on top of all of this. And I'll break down the developments when they happen very soon.
Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.